It's April, and so it's time to answer questions that $5 supporters asked in March. If you have questions for April, links are below. Starting out on Subscribestar, FunwithFacts asks, how do you think human intelligence evolved? And why hasn't it happened in other creatures? Oh, my viewers never shy away from the big questions. This is still an open question that's a rich subject of debate. One thing it does not seem like it is competition from other species. Even compared to our closest cousins, the chimpanzees, we aren't just more intelligent, we are crazy more intelligent. I mean, it isn't even close. Likewise, it doesn't seem to be anything environmental, because whatever it might have been, the chimps seem to have gotten through it all right too. So that really only leaves one possibility. We did it because of our evolutionary drive when dealing with each other. Up until a decade or two ago, they thought that was just humans outsmarting each other, being more devious in how we rise in social status, and being able to fashion better weapons to go to war with other tribes. Except, everything that had been accepted for so long, how there's one alpha or chief or whatever at the top of a tribe, and tribes went to war with other tribes, doesn't seem to be how things actually happened. Within a tribe, it was a combination meritocracy-gerontocracy. Whoever was best at hunting led the hunt. And overall, the tribe took most of its cues from elders, who had both the knowledge of previous generations and the skills to have survived as long as they did. And in between tribes, they seem to have traded with each other a lot more often than they went to war. There just isn't any paleontological evidence of Paleolithic battlefields or anything like that. Likewise, weapons such as arrows and spears seem to have been fashioned more for hunting, not so much for war, as evidenced by the lack of defensive technologies such as shields. On the other hand, there's evidence for intercontinental trade routes going back some 80,000 years, and evidence for spoken language going on much earlier than that. And that really seems to be it. The social complexity, as well as many different and varied tasks to be done, and interactions with other tribes on top of it, meant that intellectual abilities such as spoken language were an immense evolutionary benefit to our ancestors. Communication, cooperation, problem-solving skills, and innovation drove the structure of Stone Age cultures, which, in turn, drove the evolution of intelligence. Diet had a lot to do with it too, especially the addition of meat and fish with proteins and fatty acids necessary for brain development and function. And a lot of that was driven back when we weren't so good at getting these things. We had to develop the genes to make us smart enough given the diet we had, especially to children and expecting mothers. So that when we did start to get higher protein diets, which came along with the evolution of dogs and the later innovation of farming of meat, meant that the existing genetic potential was unlocked in a way that it hadn't been before. No other animal has a social structure as complex as ours and covers as many ecological niches as we do. And so most of them evolve for specific abilities, not as general-purpose machines that require intelligence to properly adapt. But again, this is hotly debated, and in 20 years we might have completely different answers. Dick and Mianis asks, if you are familiar with van life, traveling around the country, what do you think of it? Yeah, sorry, not familiar with it, so I can't give you an answer. Over on Patreon, Darth Vega asks, what are your thoughts on the idea of criminalizing data brokers? I think it should be a simple matter of property rights. You own yourself and anything that cannot be separated from you. That includes data about you. Collecting and selling vast amounts of personal data without users' consent or even knowledge not only is itself a kind of theft, it can also lead to identity theft, stalking, and other forms of harassment, risks the person never agreed to take on. There's also no way to hold them accountable. Data brokers often operate in the shadows, and we often can't know how our data is being collected, used, and shared. That is, until it's too late and there's a data breach or some form of cyber attack. Of course, there are free speech concerns here, but again, Those can be clearly set with the idea of property rights. Since you own information that cannot be decoupled from you, no one else has any business giving that information to someone else. The best solution, though, is complete privacy and cybersecurity. Imagine a social media company that just doesn't collect your personal info, just a username and password for you to log in, and they take payment in cryptocurrency. The only data they have about you, then, is what you post publicly. Anything posted in DMs or whatever is strongly encrypted and readable only by the participants. Of course, guess what governments precisely don't want? Veritas Quaesitor asks, do you have any tips or tricks on how you manage tasks every day? Asking for a friend. Well, give your friend my apologies, because I don't have anything earth-shattering. The best advice I can give you is avoid interruptions as often as possible. This is important because research has shown that when you're interrupted, when you go back to what you're doing, it can take you 15 minutes to get back to your previous productivity level. Ultimately, that means 5 to 10 minutes of lost time, even without counting how long the interruption lasted for. I break up my day into parts. This has been done for me in part because of things like the kids' school schedules. Everything else goes in between that. Setting a schedule for days of the week is good too. One of the reasons I haven't been able to get as many videos out is that this has been completely upended for me recently. It's generally the podcast on Saturday morning, with Saturday evening and Sunday for writing. Then Monday I do a video, Monday afternoon I write one or more quickies, Tuesday I shoot the quickie, then Tuesday afternoon I write another video to shoot Wednesday. Generally, either the Monday or Wednesday video would be a Lord Killian video, with the other being a regular recorded video. The problem is, things like doctor's appointments can really throw this off. I basically need a good block until noon to record and edit a video and get it up for the supporters. Having to interrupt that can throw off the whole day. So when I lose my insurance and have to get another policy, and when that new policy won't cover my pain doctor and I have to switch clinics, and then that clinic has to get all new doctors, which they're still in the process of, long story, and I keep having to make appointments just to keep my pain medicine going, and then my eye doctor's appointment, and then getting the glasses, and then coming back when they come in, and then bringing them back because the prescription was made wrong, and now having to go back in again when the new ones come in. Well, you get how days are easily thrown off for me. Made worse when my pain flares up due to the weather or the time change. Seriously, I don't care if we go permanent standard, permanent daylight, set it to Baghdad time for all I care, just stop moving it! So, as you can see, I could do with a few tips myself. Comment below if you have any. When I do work, to minimize interruptions, I do my own version of the Pomodoro technique. That's where you work for 25 minutes and take a 5-minute break, but due to the problem of interruption, like I said earlier, I double it and do 50 minutes of work followed by a 10-minute break. That way I get better productivity and 10 minutes to deal with anything else that's come up so I don't have to be interrupted as often. Also, forget that multitasking bullshit. No one is a multitasker. Research has been done. People who claim they're multitaskers are simply worse at what they do than people who focus on the task at hand. One thing at a time. Also, learn that it's okay to say no. Anytime someone asks a favor that takes you away from what you're doing, don't feel you have to drop everything just because they say so. It's your time, and your time is valuable. Learn to value your time, and they will too. Okay, that's about all the wisdom I have to impart. As I said earlier, if you have any better ideas, comment below. I'm all ears. So thank you so very much for watching. Comments for the comment god, shares for the share throne. Please hit like, subscribe, and the bell, and check out other videos on my channel and like and share them as well. And of course, go to donate.bogosity.tv for all sorts of ways to support, including PayPal, Venmo, cryptocurrency, or become a regular supporter at Patreon, Subscribestar, or Discord to get these videos early and ad-free and participate in live streams and AMAs like this one. Thanks again, and until next time, stay strong and be free.